Hi all, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I have an insane story to share with you out of Valrico, Florida, where neighbors were scared out of their sleep around 4 a.m. on March 19th of 2025 by the sound of shots coming from a home on their street. Then a fire and the screams of sirens racing to the scene. But the fear felt by the neighbors witnessing the awful scene was no match for the terror felt by a 12-year-old boy hiding in a closet in his bedroom in the home where the shots were fired. Because all he knew was that he could hear his father, who had been separated from his mother for 5 years, had broken into his home during the night, and he was threatening to unalive his mother's new boyfriend. Police in Valrico say they received a 911 call in the early morning hours of March 19th from a panicked woman saying her estranged husband had broken into her house and was threatening to unalive her boyfriend. In the background of the call, they said the operator could hear the man yelling, saying, "I'm going to kill you." Then shots were heard. Moments later, a second 911 call came in from the terrified boy hiding in his bedroom closet, describing to the operator the terror that he could hear unfolding in his home. But what he didn't know was that it wasn't over yet. When police arrived on scene, they found a truck engulfed in flames outside of the home and a body burning on the ground next to it. They say after 51-year-old Philip Cordova took the life of his estranged wife's new boyfriend, he went outside, set his truck on fire, and took his own life. With his 12-year-old child inside the home he just terrorized. Police say the child's mother told them Cordova had recently learned of her new relationship and had been calling and texting her for the previous week, threatening to go to their house and set himself on fire. But police say they were never told about Cordova's threats before he carried them out.
Calls for help early this morning in Valrico as an armed man terrorized his ex-wife before firing his gun and killing her boyfriend. The suspect then took his own life by setting himself on fire while inside his truck. Now, this happened on Drake Elm Terrace in Valrico, and that's where we find News Channel 8's Lenny Supol. Lenny.
Well, the sheriff says that the shooter, Philip Cordova, was on a mission to kill. His troubling words started last Thursday before his rage took a violent and deadly turn overnight. Tonight, neighbors recovering after being on the edge of danger overnight. Thick clouds of smoke billowing into the sky as firefighters battle the blaze.
It was this flame, and I mean, when I walked outside of my house, I walked to the side of it, and then I could see, I thought it was the house was on fire first when I came out.
But the violence started before the fire sparked. Neighbors shaken after hearing the distinct sound of gunfire rippling through the air.
But it was definitely 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Tragic, violent, and as a result, innocent lives were taken.
Sheriff Chad Chronister detailing the violent rampage, identifying the shooter as Philip Cordova, saying he was armed when he bolted through the house with a mission to terrorize his ex-wife and her boyfriend just before 4 a.m.
The emergency call takers receive a phone call from an estranged wife saying that her husband is inside the residence threatening to shoot her new boyfriend.
Their 12-year-old son also inside, waking up to the nightmare, quickly calling 911.
Who's upstairs hiding in a closet, saying that daddy just broke in the house, and all he hears is a ton of commotion downstairs.
Chronister says Cordova shot and killed the boyfriend before claiming his own life.
That the person that we had to extinguish here, this fully engulfed individual that used some type of flammable device or flammable liquid to light himself in his vehicle on fire.
So the sheriff says Cordova and his ex-wife have been divorced for the last 5 years. But last week, that's when the harassment began after he learned about her new boyfriend. Meanwhile, the mother and her son are safe tonight as the case remains under investigation. Reporting live in Valrico, Lenny Subhal, 8 on your side.
Deputies say overnight at a Valrico home, a woman's estranged husband killed her new boyfriend and then apparently lit himself on fire. 10 Tampa Bay's Hannah Deneen is live where this all happened. And Hannah, this neighborhood is still unsettled.
Well, Dave and Emerald, the crime scene tape just taken down in the last few hours. Now investigators covered this neighborhood into the afternoon hours, combing over the crime scene down at the end of the street here. Meanwhile, neighbors who witnessed the commotion during the early morning hours tell me it was shocking to behold.
My cousin called me, lives right behind me, and she said she heard some gunfire shots and stuff. So we all woke up.
The Hillsborough Sheriff's Office says just before 4 a.m., they got a call from a woman who lives at this home who told them her estranged husband broke in. Dispatch listening as he threatened her new boyfriend.
Hear her husband tell her new boyfriend, "I'm going to kill you," and then here's several gunshots.
Meanwhile, the couple's 12-year-old son making his own 911 plea. Deputies arrive to find the fire outside the home.
They see a vehicle fully engulfed on fire. What they believe to be a male laying also fully engulfed on fire with a firearm a few feet away.
Tonight, the sheriff's office says that charred body likely belonged to 51-year-old Philip Cordova, the estranged husband who they say found out about his wife's new boyfriend last week.
From last Thursday till early this morning, he continues to tell her, texting her and calling her, that he's going to come to her house and take his own life and that he's going to light himself on fire.
Tonight, the sheriff's office tells us that Cordova had no prior criminal history. They also say that those threats he made in the previous days were never reported. Meanwhile, the boyfriend in this situation who was shot and killed early this morning, he has not yet been identified. The sheriff's office says they're still waiting to get in touch with his family.
Yeah, this is really alarming, Hannah. Before you go, do we know how that man's estranged wife and the 12-year-old boy are doing right now?
Well, the sheriff told us that they were not physically injured in this situation. However, they are now receiving emotional support from their victims' advocates. Live in Valrico, Hannah Deneen, 10 Tampa Bay.
Good morning, everyone. We are on scene at the 2400 block of Drake Elm Terrace in the Arista subdivision on a death investigation that appears to be a murder-suicide with all parties accounted for. At 3:49 this morning, the emergency call takers receive a phone call from an estranged wife saying that her husband is inside the residence threatening to shoot her new boyfriend. Minutes, probably moments, be a better description later, call takers also receive a phone call from their 12-year-old son who's upstairs hiding in a closet, saying that daddy just broke in the house and all he hears is a ton of commotion downstairs. Emergency call takers tell him, stay put where you're safe. At the same time, emergency call takers on the estranged wife's phone hear her husband tell her new boyfriend, "I'm going to kill you," and then here's several gunshots. Now here's where the minutes come in. Minutes later, from 3:49 to 3:56, deputies arrive on scene. As they arrive on scene and pull up to the residence, they see a vehicle fully engulfed on fire, what they believe to be a male laying also fully engulfed on fire with a firearm a few feet away. Knowing that they can't help this individual, not knowing who this individual is there still an active shooter situation? These brave deputies continue to forge forward, going inside the house. Once inside the house, they do find our victim, the estranged wife's new boyfriend, shot multiple times. Matter of fact, safe to say, executed. Deputies also Same time, simultaneously continue to clear the residence. They go upstairs to get their hands on this 12-year-old who's, as you could believe, is extremely distraught. They remove him from the house and get him to safety, reuniting him back with his mother. How did we get to this point this morning? Last Thursday, the estranged husband accidentally learns that his wife, who he separated from 5 years ago, is dating somebody and has been dating somebody for the last 3 months. From last Thursday till early this morning, he continues to tell her, texting her and calling her, that he's going to come to her house and take his own life and that he's going to light himself on fire. As you could imagine, we don't know yet, and we know that it's the estranged husband who did the shooting. He's Philip Cordova. He's 51 years of age. He has no criminal history. The only call for service that we've had here over the last 5 years is just before Christmas this past year on December 22nd. He called the sheriff's office and asked for assistance to come over so he could retrieve a few of his personal belongings. We haven't and we won't release the victim, the boyfriend's name, because quite simply we haven't been able to notify his next of kin yet. When we are able to make those notifications, we'll certainly release his identity. We can't say with all certainty that the person that we had to extinguish here, this fully engulfed individual that used some type of flammable device or flammable liquid to light himself in his vehicle on fire. We feel confident that it's Philip Cordova, but I don't want to say that until we're able to confirm his identity. Again, tragic, violent, and as a result, innocent lives were taken. And we have a young boy who now, the idea of the family that he's known for 12 years, his family and his life has been shattered forever. What questions can I try to answer?
Did she report leading up from last Thursday to today any concerns regarding her estranged husband?
She hadn't. Since Thursday, for unknown reasons, she never contacted law enforcement. I'm certainly a true believer in the system. And would have liked to believe that maybe we could have got some injunction. Maybe we could have went and made contact with the estranged husband. Maybe we could have got the estranged husband some type of help where he wouldn't have felt that this type of violence was and taking his own life was his own option.
Sheriff, thank you so much for speaking with us, and I know you all have been out here for hours. And I feel like this is probably not a situation we kind of come across all the time. When your men and women were going inside the house, are you able to say what is the number one kind of priority? What do you do from there?
Yeah, the number one priority when they arrive on a call like this is preservation of life. They're trying to save any life that they can get a hold of. Unfortunately, 2 had already succumbed to their injuries and expired, but they were able to rescue and provide some emotional support for this 12-year-old and estranged wife who had to witness what she witnessed. We now have victim advocates on scene, victim advocates that will spend time with the family, victim advocates that will also spend time with our deputies, everyone who responded on scene. One thing we implemented when our men and women see something unique and this violent and this tragic, we ask that they spend some time with our therapists at least one time just to make sure that they're okay, knowing that they have to be healthy, they have to be okay before they're able to help somebody else in need. Great point, great question. The estranged wife's boyfriend, who she's been dating for 3 months, was executed. He was shot multiple times. We can confirm his identity. Unfortunately, I can't release that yet because we haven't been able to reach next of kin, and I certainly don't want them to find out by one of these reliable and trustworthy media sources that are here today. We know that the estranged husband, Philip Cordova, is the one that did the shooting. We feel confident that that's the person who we believe took his own life here in the driveway. Did he take his own life before lighting himself on fire? We don't know that. And the body is charred beyond recognition. So I just don't want to speculate that that's our suspect. That's the estranged husband. Again, being in the fact business, not the speculation business. I'd like to confirm that later on. And when we can confirm and make next of kin notification, certainly we'll put everything out. Thank you, everyone.
My heart goes out to that 12-year-old boy and his loved ones, and the family of his mother's boyfriend, who are no doubt trying to wrap their heads around the nightmare they've just been launched into, and to the neighbors who witnessed the terrifying scene that morning. I couldn't even imagine. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more true crime stories. And I'll see you on my next video.